Hey everyone, welcome back to Civil Convo with Rachel. Today, we are diving headfirst into a topic that's been sparking a whole lot of passionate debate, especially online: the effectiveness of tariff. You know, those tricky little taxes on imported goods that have been a big part of our economy conversation for the past few months now. Yep, those. So, I just watched this super interesting video on TikTok, and it really dives headfirst into the idea that the president tariff are actually quote unquote working. The video kicks off with this pretty bold statement: the left heads are exploding because Trump tariffs are actually working. Watch.
CNBC just had to admit that Trump's tariffs are working. Check this out.
How much we've been collecting in revenues. And I did this in part because Wilfred's here and he can talk about the UK trade deal, but just this is the monthly numbers. And they have gone up a lot. June is actually set for another big increase of $27 billion. That is money coming into U.S. coffers from tariffs. We are collecting a lot of revenue. So far, guys, $121 billion has flowed into the U.S. government since the start of the fiscal year. It's still a tiny portion of the overall revenues that the U.S. government gets, but it's increasingly a lot. Especially, we haven't seen it in terms of the consumer paying off higher inflation.
A couple days ago, when I posted a video about everybody owing Trump an apology because these tariffs are working, I got a lot of comments saying it's only in the millions, not even in the billions. Where are the receipts? Here are those receipts for you, and it's from your own left-wing media. The impact of these tariffs is so undeniable now that they can't even hide it anymore. Make sure to follow for more, and God bless.
Okay. Is it though? The video highlights that tariff brought in over $100 billion in taxes. Isn't that what happened when you raise taxes? Then I thought, does this video creator know that we, the consumer, not only the left, are actually the ones footing the bill for this particular tax win? Just a little food for thought. Now, as we always do on Civil Convo, let's unpack this a little, shall we? The numbers presented for tariff revenue are certainly substantial. $121 billion is a whole lot of money. Cha-ching for Uncle Sam. And there is absolutely no denying that tariffs do bring in revenue for the government. That's a fundamental aspect of what they are. But here is where the working parts get a little bit more complex, and where our civil convo truly begins. When we talk about economic policy working, what exactly are we measuring? Is it solely about government revenue, or does it also encompass the broader impact on the economy, on businesses, and crucially, on us, the consumers? Because let's be real, most of us care more about our wallets than the government. Am I right? The video mentioned that consumer paying off higher inflation. And bingo, this is a critical point that was debated in the last election cycle. Think about it. Tariffs are in essence a tax on imported goods. When those goods come into the country, that tax increases their costs. And that is facts. Business then have a choice to absorb that cost, which can ding the profit, or pass it on to consumers through higher prices. And let's be honest, we all know they are going to choose the latter. So, while the government collect revenue, we, the consumer, will be paying more for everyday items. That is also facts. An analysis by economists at Goldman Sachs found that consumer initially bore only about 10% of the cost of tariff. But that share has risen to about 40% after just 3 months. Not quite the win-win it sounded like, right? Then, there is the whole global dance of trade relations. When one country imposes tariff, the other countries often retaliate with their own tariff. This can really impact American businesses that rely on selling their amazing product abroad. So, while some domestic industry might see a tiny boost, Others could suddenly face massive new challenges, making it a bit of a mixed bag. Ultimately, this video presents a very focused argument about revenue collection, and it is an important piece of the economic puzzle for sure. But when we assess whether a policy as complex as tariff is truly working, we need to look at the whole picture, not just the revenue, but whether it's good or bad revenue. And yes, my friends, there is such a thing. Most mainstream economists actually consider tariff as a bad revenue source for the government. Why? Because tariffs are considered inflationary. They can distort market, increase the cost of living for us consumers, raise prices for businesses, potentially lead to nasty trade wars. It can hurt our exports. And ultimately, they are a pretty limited revenue source in the grand scheme of things. And if you need more proof that we might be feeling the pinch, recent reports have shown us that while overall inflation might have remained tame, prices were starting to tick up sharply in some very specific categories that are directly affected by tariff. We are talking about things like toys and appliances. So, if your kid's new action figure suddenly broke the bank, or that shiny new toaster oven cost a bit more, you might indeed be feeling the tariff pinch already, even if the overall inflation numbers doesn't necessarily scream crisis from the rooftop just yet. It seems to me that this creator and others are spiking the ball at the 50-yard line. The economists I've been reading on, they all agree it takes at least 6 to 18 months for the full effect of tariff to truly fully manifest in the economy. And most economists are pretty confident that these policies, coupled with the constant uncertainty around them, will eventually lead to faster inflation and slower economic growth. It's just going to be a more subtle, gradual kind of damage. So, what are your thoughts? Does the revenue collected from tariff automatically equates to them working in a way that benefits the overall economy and the everyday average American? Or are there other, perhaps less sparkly factors we need to weigh in? Well, thanks for tuning in. Join us next time on Civil Convo with Rachel. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and have an amazing, amazing day.